Rules of the Game by Neil Strauss. Picture this. There's a woman, around 60 years old. Not the vibrant, age-gracefully type, but genuinely tired-looking. Graying hair, weathered skin, and a body that's seen better days. She's a single mom who's poured everything into raising her autistic son, living in the same apartment building as our narrator, a young writer who, at this point, could basically date anyone he wants. But here's the weird part. Every time he bumps into her in the hallway, he feels this inexplicable pull, like a magnetic force he can't shake. He actually wants to kiss her. It makes zero sense, right? The guy lives in Los Angeles, surrounded by gorgeous people, yet he's lying awake, thinking about the 60-year-old neighbor down the hall. So, why? That question is exactly what makes this book so fascinating. It's about this mysterious force that drives so much of what we do, yet most of us have no clue how it actually works. That force is attraction. And here's the kicker. As Neil Strauss discovered, attraction is not a choice. Welcome to Rules of the Game. For many people, this book has been like finding a secret instruction manual. Neil Strauss was this successful writer for the New York Times and Rolling Stone, rubbing elbows with rock stars and celebrities. He knew everything about fame and success. But when it came to his own love life, total disaster. He was the guy watching from the sidelines, wondering what magic trick everyone else seemed to know. His frustration sent him down this rabbit hole into a hidden world, a secret society of guys who'd basically turned attraction into a science. They called themselves pickup artists, and they'd mapped out the entire game. What Strauss found was a set of rules that could transform anyone from wallflower to magnetic. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through that map. This isn't about cheesy pickup lines for parties. This is about understanding the fundamental mechanics of human connection, confidence, and charisma. Here's my promise. By the end, you'll understand the invisible architecture of attraction. You'll learn how to break free from the beliefs holding you back, how to become more engaging and confident, and how to build a life that naturally draws people to you. So get comfortable. We're about to decode the rules of the game. Every great story starts with a problem. For Neil Strauss, and honestly for so many of us, the problem was feeling invisible. He describes his younger self as lonely, desperate, awkwardly sitting on the sidelines while women went crazy for guys he just couldn't understand. At his lowest point, he was literally browsing mail-order bride catalogs. He was trapped in a prison, but the bars weren't made of steel. They were made of his own fears, insecurities, and limiting beliefs. This is where the real journey begins. Before you can learn any techniques or rules, the book says you've got to confront the warden of that prison, your own mind. Think about the stories you tell yourself. Maybe you believe you're not good-looking enough, or rich enough, or funny enough. Maybe you think nice guys always finish last, and women only want jerks. Or maybe you tell yourself that if you just be yourself, the right person will magically appear, using it as an excuse to never actually improve. Strauss calls these limiting beliefs. They're ideas about yourself and the world that feel true, but are actually sabotaging you. And the book's first, maybe most important lesson is, you have to dismantle them. Let's tackle that whole nice guys thing. The book totally reframes this. It argues the real split isn't between nice guys and jerks. It's between weak guys and strong guys. People are drawn to strength. Not necessarily physical strength, but the inner strength that makes others feel safe and secure. A guy who's too nice is usually just afraid of disapproval. He's not acting from genuine kindness, but from fear of what others think. So the lesson isn't to stop being nice, it's to become strong and nice. What about looks? Strauss describes himself as 5'6", scrawny, bald, and big-nosed. He was convinced his appearance was his biggest problem. But once he got into the game, he realized looks matter way less than he thought. What matters more is how you present yourself. Grooming, style, posture, and the energy you project. He actually found his average looks were an advantage. He could fly under the radar, appearing way less threatening than some square-jawed model. The problem was never his looks, but his limiting beliefs about his looks. So the very first step isn't going out and talking to anyone, it's sitting down with yourself and doing a social assessment. The book asks simple questions. How do you think people perceive you? How would you like to be perceived? What are 3 behaviors you'd like to change, and 3 new ones you'd like to adopt? This is about setting an intention, deciding who you want to become, because you can't hit a target you can't see. With this new mindset, the journey moves outward but starts incredibly small. The book doesn't throw you into a crowded club. The first mission is simple. Make small talk with 5 strangers. They can be anyone. Male, female, old, young. A cashier, someone in line at the store, anyone. The goal isn't to get a phone number. The goal is simply to open your mouth and prove to yourself that starting a conversation won't kill you. Next day, you do it again, but this time you have to make eye contact and notice each person's eye color. Sounds trivial, right? But it's powerful. It forces you to be present, to actually connect with another human, even briefly. It trains you to see the person in front of you instead of getting lost in the anxious noise in your own head. These early missions are like a workout program for your social life. You're not lifting heavy weights yet. You're just stretching, warming up those conversation and confidence muscles that might have been dormant for years. As the days go on, the challenges gradually build. You work on your voice. Strauss explains that when he started, he talked too fast, too softly, and mumbled his words. He learned from a vocal coach that your voice is your identity. A calm, slow, deep voice commands authority and makes people want to listen. A fast, quiet, nervous voice screams lack of confidence. The book gives simple exercises, like practicing speaking from your diaphragm and consciously slowing your pace, to turn your voice into a more powerful tool. Then comes posture. Before you even speak, your body language has already said volumes. The book teaches a simple wall stance. Stand with your heels, butt, shoulders, and the back of your head against a wall for 1 minute. This commits the feeling of confident, upright posture to your muscle memory. When you carry yourself with your head high and shoulders back, you don't just look more confident, you actually feel more confident. See, the foundation of the game isn't about tricks. It's about becoming fundamentally more attractive from the inside out. It's about upgrading your operating system. This includes everything down to grooming. On day 5, the challenge is to do at least one task from a detailed grooming checklist. Could be anything from getting a better haircut to whitening your teeth, to getting a professional style consultation. The philosophy is simple. You're a package, and you want that package to be as appealing as possible. This isn't about being fake. It's about taking pride in your appearance and signaling to the world that you're someone of value who cares about details. As Strauss puts it, any guy can become good-looking. It's a skill, like anything else. Only after all this foundational work on your mindset, social skills, voice, posture, and appearance does the book introduce the more strategic elements of the game. This is where we get to the heart of the interaction, starting with the most feared moment, the approach. Strauss makes a crucial point. There's no such thing as a pickup line. If there were one magical sentence that made women fall in love, every guy would use it. What exists is a process, and it begins with an opener. An opener isn't a cheesy line like, "Did it hurt when you fell from heaven?" An opener is simply a way to start a fun, engaging, non-threatening conversation. The most effective openers, the book teaches, are indirect. They don't reveal any romantic interest at all. Instead, they appear spontaneous and motivated by genuine curiosity. For example, Strauss shares an opener he used after a debate with a friend. "Hey, how good were you at high school geography? Okay, how many continents are there? 7. And how many oceans? 5. So here's the question. What are the 5 oceans? My friend and I have been stuck on this all day." Ridiculous as it sounds, it started a conversation every time. Why does this work? Because it's not about you or her. It's a fun, trivial puzzle. It gives the group a reason to interact, without feeling like they're being hit on. Comedian Chris Rock has this routine where he says, anything a man says to a woman he doesn't know really just translates to, how about some dick? The goal of an indirect opener is to start a conversation without saying that. To make openers even better, the book introduces two key elements, the time constraint and the route. When you approach strangers, they're subconsciously asking two questions. What does this person want? And how long are they going to stay? A time constraint answers the second question immediately. You start with something like, hey, I have to get back to my friends in a second, but really quickly. This instantly lowers their defenses. They know you're not going to linger awkwardly and drain their energy. You're just stopping by for a moment. A route answers the first question. It gives your opener legitimate context. In the Five Oceans opener, the route is that you were just debating with your friend. This explains why you're asking that particular question right now. With an opener, time constraint, and route, you have a nearly foolproof way to start a conversation with almost anyone, anywhere. But starting the conversation is just step one. Where do you go from there? This brings us to the next phase, demonstrating value. This concept gets misunderstood a lot. It doesn't mean bragging about your job or how much money you make. Demonstrating value means showing, not telling, that you're interesting, intelligent, and high status. You are the prize, not the other way around. One powerful way to do this is through storytelling. The book dedicates an entire day to crafting and telling compelling personal stories. A good story lets you convey your best qualities, humor, adventurousness, intelligence, without stating them directly. Instead of saying, I'm funny, you tell a funny story that makes her laugh. Another way is to teach her something interesting about herself. This is where the book introduces routines that feel like fun, playful personality tests. One famous one is the rings routine. You notice a ring she's wearing or not wearing and explain that in ancient Greek culture, the finger someone chooses says something about their personality. The thumb represents Poseidon and independence. The index finger is Zeus, representing power and dominance. The ring finger is Aphrodite, the goddess of love. Whether it's actually true is irrelevant. The routine is a vehicle. It lets you be playful, create fun interaction, and showcase your knowledge and creativity. It elevates the conversation beyond the boring, so what do you do? She's heard 100 times that night. Now this next concept is perhaps the most counterintuitive and most powerful in the entire book. It's called disqualification. Think about it. Beautiful women are used to men fawning over them. They assume every guy who approaches wants something. Disqualification flips that script entirely. It's the art of playfully demonstrating that you're not interested in her romantically. For example, you might say, you're cool. You'd be like the perfect little sister I never had. Or if she has blonde hair, it's a shame you're blonde. I've only ever dated brunettes. We'd never work out. This must be done with a smile, with playful, teasing energy. It's not about being mean. It's about being different. When you take yourself out of the pool of potential suitors, you immediately stand out. You become a challenge. Suddenly, she's the one who has to win you over. This is the essence of playing hard to get, and it taps into fundamental human nature. We want what we can't have. Disqualification is part of a larger concept called frame control. The frame is the context of the interaction. Most men approach a woman and immediately enter her frame. They're seeking her approval. The goal of the game is to get her to enter your frame. You're the one giving out approval. You have high standards. You're screening her to see if she's cool enough to hang out with you. This shift in mindset is profound. When you stop seeking validation and start giving it, you radiate a confidence that's incredibly attractive. But the game isn't all playful teasing and demonstrating value. If you stay in that mode too long, you'll just seem like an entertaining clown. At some point, you need to shift gears and create genuine emotional connection. This is the rapport phase. This is where you find commonalities. You share stories from your past, dreams for the future. You listen deeply to what she says and show that you understand her on a level most people don't. This is where you can use a technique called cold reading. Cold reading is making a general observation about a person sound like a profound, specific insight. Psychics use this all the time. For example, you might say, I get the sense that you can be very outgoing and social at times, but there's also a part of you that's more private and needs to recharge alone. This is true for almost everyone, but delivered with confidence and sincerity, it can make someone feel truly seen and understood. The goal of the rapport phase is building trust and comfort, moving from two strangers playing a game to two people who feel like they were meant to meet. So you've opened the conversation, demonstrated your value, built rapport, and now you can feel the connection. How do you move from a great conversation to getting a phone number and setting up a date? This is another area where most guys stumble. They awkwardly ask for the number at the end, putting the woman on the spot. The book teaches a much smoother, more natural approach. First, you seed the idea of a future meeting. During conversation, you casually mention a cool event you're going to later that week. My friends and I are going to this new art gallery opening on Thursday. It's supposed to be incredible. You don't invite her yet, you just plant the seed. Then, later as you're about to leave, you say, you know what, you should come to that gallery opening with us on Thursday. You'd really enjoy it. At this point, you don't ask for her number. Instead, you use a technique that's almost entirely nonverbal and nearly rejection-proof. You pull out a pen and small piece of paper or business card. You tear it in half. On one half, you write your name and number. Then, you hand her the blank half and the pen. 9 times out of 10, she'll instinctively take them and write down her information. It's a fair exchange. You've offered your information, and the physical act of handing her the paper and pen creates social momentum that's very hard to refuse. Once you have the number, you have to master the phone game. The rules are simple. Don't seem needy. The book suggests texting first, with a callback to something funny or interesting from your conversation. For example, if you used the 5 oceans opener, you could text, "Just found out the name of the 5th ocean, by the way." It reestablishes the fun vibe and creates an open loop that makes her want to respond. The goal of the phone call or text isn't a long, drawn-out conversation. It's simply to solidify the plans you already seeded. Keep it brief, fun, and confident. This entire process, from first hello to first date, is a carefully choreographed dance. Each step builds on the last, and the ultimate objective of the Stylelife Challenge is to get a date within 30 days. But as you go through this journey, you realize something. The game isn't really about a set of rules for picking up women, it's a framework for radical self-improvement. The final days focus on a personality development model called LASVEGAS, an acronym for the 8 core attributes of an attractive personality: looks, adaptability, strength, value, emotional connection, goals, authenticity, and self-worth. The book asks you to rate yourself in each area, to honestly assess your strengths and weaknesses, and it makes you realize the ultimate goal isn't to master a set of routines, but to become the kind of person who scores a 10 in all these categories. Someone so filled with value, confidence, and purpose that attraction isn't something they have to do, it's simply a natural byproduct of who they are. The journey culminates on day 30 with a final mission: throw a dinner party. This might seem random, but it's the perfect synthesis of everything you've learned. It forces you to be a social leader, to bring interesting people together, to create a fun and valuable experience for others. You become the host of your own exciting life, and you invite the women you meet to join you. In the end, the most profound lesson is one Strauss himself had to learn. He shares a story about a student who'd memorized every routine, but was still failing miserably with women. Strauss finally realized the key distinction. The guy who fails goes out looking for women to make him feel good about himself. He's a taker of value. The guy who succeeds goes out and makes other people feel good about themselves. He's a giver of value. He radiates positive energy. He listens. He's fun to be around. He leaves people better than he found them. That's the final transformation. The journey starts with a selfish desire. How can I get the girl? and ends with a much more powerful and attractive purpose. How can I bring value and joy to the people around me? The final mission asks you to look at yourself in the mirror. But instead of seeing the old you, it challenges you to see the person you're becoming, someone who's confident, socially savvy, and in control of their own reality. Because, as the book reminds us, perception is reality. When you start to see yourself as that person, the rest of the world will too. So what do we take away from this incredible journey? When you strip away all the routines, acronyms, and techniques, what's the timeless wisdom at the core of rules of the game? For me, it boils down to a few fundamental truths. This book, at its heart, isn't about deceiving women. It's about overcoming the deceptions we tell ourselves. It's a powerful argument that charisma, confidence, and social skill aren't gifts you're born with. They're muscles, and like any muscle, they can be trained. The journey it lays out is a powerful reminder that growth only happens outside your comfort zone. Every mission, from making small talk with a stranger to throwing a dinner party, is designed to push you just a little past what feels easy and safe. And it's in that space of slight discomfort that true transformation occurs. If you're looking to apply some of these lessons to your own life, here are a few simple actions you can take, starting today. First, embrace the 3-second rule. Next time you see someone you want to talk to, whether for romantic reasons, business, or just curiosity, give yourself 3 seconds. If you don't act within those 3 seconds, you've let your mind talk you out of it. This simple rule is powerful for short-circuiting hesitation and building a habit of taking action. Second, identify one limiting belief you hold about yourself. Just one. Maybe it's, "I'm not a creative person," or "I'm too shy to be a leader." Write it down. Then, just as the book teaches, question it. Ask yourself, was there ever a time when this wasn't true? Find one piece of evidence, no matter how small, that contradicts that belief. The simple act of questioning these self-imposed rules is the first step to rewriting them. And third, take one small action to upgrade your package. Look at the grooming checklist from day 5 and pick one thing. Maybe it's finally getting a haircut that makes you feel amazing. Maybe it's buying a new shirt that fits perfectly. This isn't about vanity. It's about sending a signal to yourself and the world that you're worthy of investment. When you feel good about how you look, you carry yourself differently. Your energy changes, and people respond to that. That was a summary of Rules of the Game by Neil Strauss. We've journeyed through the core ideas today, but I'll be honest, a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. It can show you the landmarks and main roads, but it can never replace actually walking the streets, smelling the food, and talking to the people. The real magic of this book happens when you read it yourself. It's in the quiet moments when a particular story or simple piece of advice resonates with you in ways you didn't expect. This summary is designed to help you decide if this journey is one you want to take. If anything we've talked about today sparked curiosity, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see yourself and the world around you. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable and it gave you a new perspective, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It lets us know we're on the right path and ensures you won't miss our next deep dive into another life-changing book. Let's keep learning and keep growing together.